Good morning. My name is Yaron Spiwak. I'm the music director for the Center for Spiritual Living, and I'll start this morning with a beautiful song. Just yesterday morning, they let me know you are gone. Suzanne plans they put an end to you. I woke up this morning and I wrote up this song. I just can't remember who to send it to. And I've seen fire, I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you one more time again. When you look up upon me, Jesus, would you help me make a stand? You just gotta see me through another day. My body's aching and my time is at hand. I won't just make it any other way. And I've seen fire, I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you again. One more time again. Thought that I see you one more time again. As a fire would rain, a fine rain, fire and rain. And I've seen fire, I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always knew that I'd see you one more time again.
And so nice to see you one more time again, Yaron.
You too, through fire and through rain.
Through fire and through rain. Nothing wrong with opening the morning with a bit of James Taylor, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
As
yes.
you've been traveling to and fro across the US of A, even though I believe your background is of a European village.
It is Austria, if I'm not
Austria, I love
mistaken.
it. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you too.
How are you doing today, Mr. Spiwak?
I'm well. It's missed you guys. It's good to see you. I'm looking forward for the to hear the sermon today. I need it.
Oh, good. Well, it'll be well, good. I'll make sure to give it to you. And I know you have some fantastic music for us as well. It's going to be a great morning, and we'll look forward to seeing you in a bit.
Sounds good.
Good. Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, the spiritual leader here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. You just had the most wonderful pleasure of experiencing one of our music directors, Yaron Spiwak, as he shared his talents and his gifts with us this morning. Let's change the light there a little bit. There we go. And so, welcome to our Sunday celebration service. If you're joining us here through Zoom and or on Facebook Live or at a later date through our YouTube channel, welcome. It's a joy and a pleasure to have you here on this day, Mother's Day in the year 2022 in the United States of America. We celebrate Mother's Day here on this day. And if you're joining us from abroad, join in our celebration of honoring the Mother and the Divine Feminine today. We come together on Sunday mornings to be in community, albeit in a technical virtual way at this present moment, but with the purpose and the intention of connecting not only to each other, but connecting to what we like to believe is a spiritual truth. And from that perspective, engaging in the vision statement for our community, which is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. So I welcome you on behalf of all at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and may we have a morning together, a time together today where we honor the very special nature of spirit that experiences itself and expresses itself by means of each one of us. And so let me get our... I always get annoyed when people aren't ready for something like this, and all of a sudden I'm ready to put the visuals on the screen, and they have seemed to have disappeared off of my computer. There they go. So here we go. Let's make sure that this click works, and it does. So here we go. There we go. We are the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. Once again, happy Mother's Day for all who are a mother, all who've experienced being mothers, and all who have mothers. Let's take a moment and honor the mother of us, of each one of us, and all mothers on this planet. As a community, we come together on Sunday mornings, as I said before, in an act of namaste, as an opening and initial act of who and what we are. The act of namaste in its truest form is I bow to you, meaning I bow to the spirit that exists within each and every one of us, so that we may become more consciously aware of the oneness that we all share in life itself. And so let's take a moment and acknowledge the spirit within each and every one of us by placing our hands together in prayer position, as we see on the screen. Taking a deep breath in, and as we exhale, leaning forward, saying out loud together, Namaste. United we become. The spirit within me honors and acknowledges the spirit in you. As a community, we've been coming together for over 30 years to practice primarily the teachings of the science of mind. It's a philosophy, a faith, and a way of life that focuses on the philosophy that there is only one power, one universal power that exists in the universe. It individualizes itself by means of you and by means of me, by means of the individual. The famous quote from Ernest Holmes the founder of the Science of Mind, in regards to the individualization of spirit is, spirit has placed the stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you. And so here in this community known as CSL-LA, we are individuals that honor the individualized aspect of each one of Spirit's expressions, you, me, and all sentient beings. And we consciously practice becoming more in tune with our divine nature, whose qualities are peace and power and beauty and joy, and light and life and love and wisdom. And as we tune into those vibrational frequencies, we become more and more aware that as we use our mind in constructive ways, our lives get better. Because that which we think becomes form. Because we live in a universe that's governed by a spiritual universe that is governed by spiritual law. Meaning the very essence of who and what we know ourselves to be shows up in the experiences of our life. And so we have the opportunity in life to make a difference. To make a difference not only in our own life, but in the lives of all, because we're interconnected. It's how we choose to express our divinity. It's how we choose to use our power. It's how we choose to be the presence of this omniscient, omnipresent, infinitely loving power that we call God. Once again, our vision statement is supporting individuals on their journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. It's my invitation for each one of us today to release any attachment to any words that we may be hearing that's repetitious from a past Sunday, any ritual that we may experience that's something we've heard from a previous service, and open ourselves up to allowing the Spirit to awaken within us a new awareness of it. And in so doing, allow ourselves to become more strengthened in our awareness and acceptance of the power that we're each imbued with. For today is the day to do that. This Mother's Day in the year 2022. And so we begin each service with a ritual called Calling in the Light. And as we look at the orb on the screen with the flickering flame, let's, in our mind's eye, believe that we've lit that candle. And that in lighting that candle, it is an act of tuning into the light of the divine within, of tuning into this awakening that we've invited into our being, into our mind, into our awareness. For we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. The purpose of this ritual is to draw into our gathering this morning a more conscious awareness of our oneness and the qualities that we possess as complete expressions of the divine. As we feel the vibrations shift during this experience, when we become ever more aware of the light of life that exists in and as all expressions of life, which includes you and it includes me. For our ritual this morning, I would like for us to imagine the light of the divine that exists in a mother. It may be yourself as a mother. It may be your mother. It may be someone that you have seen in your life that you know is a mother. Mothering from the perspective of both giving birth and of loving others. And then as we take a deep breath in and exhale, let's bring into our mind's eye the light of life that gave birth to that mother. And as we inhale and exhale, we bring into our mind's eye the individual that gave birth to that individual who gave birth to the mother of the individual that we initially brought into our mind's eye. And as we take a deep breath in and exhale, let's bring into our mind's eye, even though we may have never seen this individual, the light of life of the individual, the mother who gave birth to the individual, who was the birth of giving birth to the individual, who gave birth to the first individual that we brought into our mind's eye. And as we honor this lineage of the light, as expressed by the stamp of individuality that was placed on this individual, let's let today be the day that we honor and celebrate them, while remembering the light is still the same light. And so even any mother that may have caused us harm or disdain or feelings of less than, let's honor the light within them today. And give ourselves permission to give birth today to a new idea, to a new way of being, into a new way of loving, forgiving all transgressions of the past, and opening to the new. For the light itself is ever present, appearing to be ever renewing. But as we know, the source of light itself is never ending. And so Yaron comes onto the screen with us and takes us through our song of calling in the light. And let's let this be a further act of the ritual of expressing and experiencing the love of the light of the divine and that which we give through honoring the Mother today.
Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. I am love, I am peace in my heart. I am free, I am spirit, I am soul. All together we are whole, and calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light, oh love. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light, oh love. Calling in the light, oh love. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
And so it is. Wonderful. Thank you, Yaron. Thank you. So you have another song for us,
I sure
right?
do.
Which is going to be a really beautiful song because I heard it during rehearsal.
Yeah.
So you ready to share it?
Always, the topic for this month. You got me excited.
I love it.
You want to say it, and then I'll connect this
The
song to it.
theme is pray, play, and slay. I love the dance movements to go with it. Let's say it together. Pray, play, and slay.
Exactly. So the first one was play. This was my pray, and the third one is gonna be slay.
You are definitely going to slay on the third one. So I'm looking forward to this one, the prayer, the pray.
Yes. Here we go. The moment I wake up, before I put on my makeup, I say a little prayer for you. While I combing my hair now and wondering what pants to wear now, I say a little prayer for you. Forever and ever, you stay in my heart, and I will love you forever and ever. You stand apart, and I will love you forever. Together, that's how it must be. Be without you would only be heartbreak for me. I run for the bus, dear. While I ride and I think of us, dear, I said a little bit for you. And at work I just take time, and through my coffee bedtime, I said a little bit for you. Forever and ever, you stay in my heart, and I will love you forever and ever. We never will part. I will love you together, together. That's how it must be. To live without you would only be heartbreak for me. Forever and ever, you stay in my heart, and I will love you forever and ever. We never will part, and I will love you forever together. That's how it must be. To live without you would only be heartbreak for me. I say a little prayer for you.
Such a fabulous song. So wonderful. Thank you. Forever and ever. I love it. Thank you so much. I love it. Most wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. You're on. See you in a bit. And so, as we have stated already, today is Mother's Day. Mother's Day, a day of loving sentiments, probably gifts being given, obviously, and received, flowers being shared, lunches and brunches, telephone calls being made, probably breakfast in bed, memories being recalled, and certainly a time to honor and celebrate and often memorialize and cherish and even potentially, if necessarily, forgive sometimes the self and mother. All is an important act to transpire to do today, and I invite each and every one of us to do that today on our own personal time and connect to that individual or individuals who represent or are actually a mother in our life. As a spiritual community whose vision statement is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, today I would like for us to potentially and intentionally, from the attention perspective, have a spiritual awakening and look at this act of mother, if you will, from a higher perspective, from a spiritual viewpoint. I'd like to begin by reading an article from Dr. Dennis Merritt Jones, currently a retired minister in the Center for Spiritual Living Communities, Los Angeles, from Simi Valley for many years. And he comprised and wrote this article titled The Metaphysics of Mother's Day. He begins with a Jewish proverb that said, God couldn't be everywhere, so he created mothers. And I'd like to just remind you that is a Jewish proverb here in the philosophy of faith, the way of life, known as the science of mind. We don't assign gender to the creative power of the divine, and we do believe that this power is everywhere. But for the purpose, once again, of this article, let's hear the proverb. God couldn't be everywhere, so he created mothers. While we know that in truth the infinite one is indeed everywhere because it is omnipresence, I've always appreciated the folk wisdom and metaphor as quoted above because it depicts the ineffable character of the divine feminine, which is omnipresent, nurturing and sustaining all living things while excluding none. Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder, as I stated earlier, of the teachings of the science of mind, refers to the feminine principle as the universal womb of nature, because an omnipresent principle Operating through all living things, it knows how to unconditionally nurture and grow to fruition whatever falls into its embrace. I'd like to read that again. Dr. Ernest Holmes refers to the feminine principle as the universal womb of nature because, as an omnipresent principle, operating through all living things, it knows how to unconditionally nurture and grow to fruition whatever falls into its embrace. Dr. Jones goes on to write, for this reasons, I believe another term for the divine feminine could be unconditional love. In other words, that which is operating through all living things knows how to unconditionally nurture and grow to fruition. Whatever falls into its embrace is also known as unconditional love. In other words, the infinite presence as the divine feminine is the unconditional love. Let's let that sink in for a moment. That the unconditional love, remembering love is the self-givingness of spirit whose desire is to create more of itself out of itself. And the only way it can do that is through that expression, that individualized expression of spirit. So this unconditional giving of itself, right, is the infinite presence of life giving itself through us, giving birth to that expression that it's longing for from itself. He goes on to write that most of all of us have heard and agreed with the statement that unconditional love is the most powerful force in the universe because it aligns us directly with the highest vibration of the infinite. I speak often of our intention to raise our vibrations to the highest possible. He addresses this here. He goes on to write, then it would seem logical to say that women, the female gender, are inherently more powerful than men. Now I'll go on. Why? Because as a rule of thumb, women are far more likely to be in touch with their divine feminine, which is where unconditional love exists as a universal principle, than are men. Now, for the perspective of this, I'm going to speak and read as he addressed gender here, but I'd like for us to not get caught up in the gender per se of male or female and look at it from the perspective of our feminine qualities and our masculine qualities within each individual. Now he goes on to write, note, I did not say women are stronger, more intelligent, or more important. I said women, he writes, are simply more powerful. Why? Because women, that feminine quality within us, have a much easier time accessing their feeling nature, which is where authentic love resides. The good news is the divine feminine, being an omnipresent principle, means that both male and female gender, and any that may be in between and beyond, have equal access to it because we are individualized expressions of the spirit. The problem is we've not been as willing to go there, because it's generally men he's speaking of, that who lets their masculine presence overpower, because generally it's generally buried a bit deeper in the male and may require some revealing and balancing of our internal energy system that can be flat out uncomfortable. I think that most men, once again, the masculine energy that's prevailing, believe that to access the divine feminine within means becoming more vulnerable. And for many, I suppose it could be. But irrespective of the discomfort of it is only in the light of what vulnerability that authentic love fully reveals as itself. What I've discovered, he writes, for myself, is that the more willing I am to embrace the divine feminine within myself, balancing it with masculine energy, the more likely I am to live openly day-to-day consciousness of unconditional love. For me, he writes, beyond the obvious, this is the metaphysical meaning and purpose of Mother's Day, celebrating the creative nature of nature. Today, let's each open ourselves up to be more willing to embrace the divine feminine, that which is giving birth through us as unconditional love, making more of itself out of itself through itself as us, propagating itself, if you will. That let's be more open to do that while balancing that with the masculine energy. Another way of looking at that as being willing to surrender to the creative force of life itself through us while consciously planting the seed, that's the masculine part, of being open and receptive and the surrendering aspect of that which is longing to do its thing through us, as well as the intention of revealing the qualities of the divine of peace and power and beauty and joy and light and life and love and wisdom through us. He goes on to write that, yes, first and foremost, Mother's Day can be an opportunity to celebrate our earthly mothers, thanking and honoring them for the amazing job they did bringing us into the physical world, using the very principle of the divine feminine to birth us, literally, unconditionally love and nurture us for so many years, and then selflessly launch us on our spiritual journey into the human experience. No doubt, not everyone had such a happy and healthy relationship with their birth mother, which is why it's important to understand their unique relationship to the creative principle of life, which goes far beyond personalities. Perhaps equally as important, Mother's Day can be a chance for each of us to consciously reconnect with the principle of the divine feminine within ourselves, which is where the true power, unconditional love resides, waiting to embrace and nurture us. And so today, let's celebrate the divine feminine on this Mother's Day and begin to notice and remember how loved we each truly are. It's through that act of surrender, that act of willingness, that act of stepping into being open to the new that I spoke of last week as we kicked off our theme of pray, play, and slay. Of the willingness as we wrapped up the message last week of truly being willing to open up and move through our discomfort of giving birth to that which is new, even potentially that which is radically new in our lives. How appropriate is it to set this day to celebrate the divine feminine, becoming more impregnated with a new idea and letting unconditional love have its way with us. Last week, I closed with this message from Dr. Jim Lockhart, also a previous minister at the Center for Spiritual Living, Simi Valley, when he addressed that the common answer in New Thought circles to the question, what is the biggest obstacle to spiritual growth, is myself. He said, while that's true, that it's also the answer to the question, what is my biggest asset in seeking spiritual growth? Spiritual growth being the act of surrendering to the divine feminine principle, expressing itself as unconditional love to us, while at the same time balancing it with our masculine energy of consciously and intentionally planting the seeds of the very experience of love that we would like to have in life, remembering that the only way we can experience that is by expressing it. So he goes on to write, the self is the vehicle. Let me back up. While that is true, myself being the biggest obstacle, it's also our biggest asset in this journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. The self is the vehicle for all development or the lack thereof. So we need to be a bit more specific in answering the question. I, Dr. Lockhart writes, usually respond to the question about the biggest obstacle with this. The biggest obstacle to spiritual growth is comfort. It's our desire to be comfortable that often keeps us in place, even if we are not happy in our current state of being. Comfort is a sense of being minimally challenged. When we face the discomfort of changing, we too often sink into resistance, even though we may realize that growth lies at the other side of the period of discomfort. It's a pretty mind-blowing concept, and we all probably know that on some levels. The question is, are we willing, as hard as it may be, and I certainly understand the challenge with that, both personally and as the leader of our community, to lean into those steps of discomfort. In the blog, the New Thought Evolutionary blog by Dr. Lockhart, he goes on to write, we may be afraid of change, but more likely we're afraid of discomfort. We're afraid of stepping into the unknown, of forming different habit patterns, of losing something that we currently possess, or we are in a state of mind which refuses to move beyond lethargy. When we ignore or resist the inner urge to move forward in our development, our physical and emotional selves react. We may develop an illness or deep fatigue, or we may become depressed or distracted. These are defense mechanisms used by the ego to keep us from changing, from stepping too far out of our comfort zone. The great psychiatrist Carl Jung addresses it this way. He says, there's no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to avoid facing their own soul. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. By facing our own soul, is what Jung is telling us to do. By facing our own soul, Jung means accepting divine urge to grow, to progress, to deepen our realization of who we are and what is ours to do. This deepening means dealing with greater uncertainties in life, with loss, with grief, and transition. When we're confronted by deep inner urges, our resistance, which is automatic, our current belief system's take on who we are and what we can expect from ourselves, activates emotional responses in us, in this case, typically negative responses. The chemicals that are associated with these negative emotions, that's what's wanting to hold us back to the past, are destructive to our physical systems and trigger negative thinking. You ever had those moments when you're wanting to hang on to what was and there's pain in regards to that, even though you know you need to move forward, and you feel your chest tighten and your eyes restrict and your body restricts? That's what he's speaking of here. But he also says to engage in a positive direction or a life-affirming direction means working past the limitations of our current belief system and not listening to the ego's mental, emotional, and physical urges to stay in place. In such situations, we're called to extend ourselves with intention, with courage, and with a commitment to a new way of being. We're called to take a leap in faith to something greater. Now, I know for each of us, on some levels in our life, we've had this experience where we've been called to that something that is greater. And what was required of us was to let go of what was and be in that state of impregnation of the new idea, waiting for it to move through a state of maturation so that it can then be birthed into an expression. And we all know that faith is what is required in that process. And so today, just as I did last week, I invited each of us to begin to open ourselves up to what that newness could be. Certainly as a community, we're expressing that newness, stepping into that newness of meeting once a month in person and asking for a minimum donation to cover the expenses of that. And all of us to have faith in this process, should we desire to move this community into its next expression post-COVID and begin to live new ways in our life and to be a new expression while honoring the past, just as we're doing here on this Mother's Day. As Dan Millman, the great author, writes, every positive change or life-affirming change in life, every jump to a higher level of energy and awareness involves a rite of passage. Each time to ascend to a higher rung on the ladder of personal evolution, we must go through a period of discomfort, of initiation. He writes, I've never found an exception. Today, you and I are called to the willingness in our lives to Lean into this comfort and this initiation, which may be intensely challenging and painful. But it's by accepting this challenge and enduring the pain and the discomfort that we move out of our stuckness into a greater level of freedom. Courage and strength are required qualities. Let's remember that courage, the root of the word courage, is living from the heart. Heart being the symbol of love. What we're being called for as we lean into this divine principle is to let unconditional love have its way with us, which sometimes means feeling pain and loss and discomfort, but having the strength of knowing that the light itself is within us and will dispel that darkness at the appropriate and right time and give birth to the experience and the expression of that very new thing that we're calling for. We must accept and deal with, Dr. Lockhart writes, with the uncertainty of spiritual development if we are to grow. We must accept and deal with the uncertainty of spiritual development if we are to grow. We never really know our interior spaces and can only guess at the future. Intention and spiritual practice help guide us towards what is best for us. But it's like a moving target in a fog. Spiritual mastery is about accepting uncertainty as the nature of things while accepting the certainty that spirit exists and is within us always. It's a balancing act of accepting the uncertainty as the nature of things, while being steeped in and knowing that we know the certainty that the unfailing nature of spirit exists and it's within us always, and it will always move us into a greater expression of itself if we're but willing to open the channel, to clear out the fog, and let that be our experience. He closes this blog with whatever your current circumstances, you have within you a power to change, to heal, to recover, to express, to engage at greater levels. All significant growth or deepening will be accompanied by discomfort, even pain, potentially. Our human psychological structure simply does not allow create change without inner resistance. Accepting that is a key to the ability to change and grow in amazing ways. As the poet Iyoma Umenyuo wrote in 3 Routes to Healing, I may have just butchered her name. 1, you must let the pain visit. 2, you must allow it to teach you. 3, you must not allow it to overstay. Today and each day forward, we're all called to a greater level of courage and to engage in strength in a new way, to invite in this unconditional love in a new way. Today we get to ask ourselves, what can you or we as a community open ourselves up to today that is this next rung on the ladder of the pathway of our evolution? Spiritual growth is what's called for all of us here on our journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, while making decisions in the physical human realm at times that are also uncomfortable. In the book, The Buddha Doodles, it says obstacles are opportunities for new adventures. That spiritual growth is a choice that requires diligent effort. It's unlike physical growth because people grow physically by default, unless you have some type of disorder that prevents that. For physical growth, no effort is required on our part. We mature physically whether we want to or not. But don't think that just because you grow older in life, you're growing spiritually. That's 2 different things in reality. Today we're at choice before us. I love the text from A New Thought for the Day yesterday that was sent out that addresses this in this way. It says, the alchemist is one who transforms all energies into higher frequencies of light and love. They're bringers of a new dawn, transmuting the old paradigms into a higher intelligence and order. They act solely for the highest good of all. Love is the only master they answer to. Let's remember the alchemist, in the most traditional sense, is the one who would turn the darkest of matter into gold. That was done by placing heat on it, by intentionally and consciously and purposefully working the darkness until it transformed, using the transformational quality of life itself. It's that power that is within us that is waiting to give birth to something new. There's nothing that you and I have to do to create this power. In fact, there's nothing that we can do to create it because it already exists, infinitely doing its thing through us. The question that we have before us today is, how are we going to use it? Ernest Holmes tells us to remember, and let's do it specifically on this day, that life is ever giving of itself. We must receive, utilize, and extend the gift. Success and prosperity, evolution, or spiritual attributes belonging to all people. We all have equal opportunity to grow here. We all have equal opportunity to pray, to play, and to slay, baby. Remembering that the act of prayer that we went through last week in regards to this practice of continuing to fine-tune our mind is an invocation or an act that seeks to activate a rapport with the object of worship through deliberate communication, remembering that the object of worship is the power itself within us that we're calling forth. The play is an activity for enjoyment and recreation using pure imagination and even during the times of discomfort and darkness. We have the capacity to imagine the newness to be revealed. And then to slay means to kill it, meaning to be the master of our mental, emotional, spiritual domain, not trying to control it, but to live through the willingness and the openness to embrace the uncertainty of that which is unfolding while staying certain of the power that exists. Last week, I asked each and every one of us as individuals and collectively as a community to imagine that a year from now, when we look back, we can say, I can't believe I did this. Can we imagine that for ourselves today? That a year from now, we look back and say, do you remember on that Mother's Day, May 8th in the year 2022, when we were called to expand and blow our mind through praying, playing, and slaying in a new way, to lean into the discomfort of letting go of the old and opening to the new. And look at where we are on this day, May 8th in the year 2023. Today's the day that we get to stretch our mind, for we're told and taught that one's mind, once stretched by a new idea, never regains its original dimensions. And so today, as we step into this continued celebration of Mother's Day, let's remember that mother, it's a verb, not a noun. That we're called today to be the mother, to give birth to the new idea and to mother it as an action step along the way. I encourage you, yes, to honor your mother in the physical sense. Choose to do this consciously from a state of gratitude and take the time to acknowledge the one who physically gave birth to you. No matter your journey, know that this pivotal point of creation is an amazing, amazing act. So I encourage all of us today to stop, take a moment, honor the creative process, and to remember that it exists within you as it does within me. To take time for yourself today, as Sweeney's taking time for herself when she just shakes it out, and connect to the mental space within. And through this connection, give yourself permission to feel worthy of your dreams, your desires, your goals, and your intentions coming to life. Of your choosing to be this alchemist, Allow yourself to know that just like your life, these may require, these intentions and desires and dreams and goals may require an incubation period. But because you and I are also one with the infinite nature of life, our dreams and goals will be birthed with the proper attention and intention and willingness to surrender to the creative process. Let's let today be the day that from this stretched mind that we have, that we don't go back to what was, but we open up and pray, affirming and knowing that all is well in our world as we expand both mentally, emotionally, and literally, physically, and change. And that we use our imagination to play along this journey, remembering that the principle of life is not bound by precedent. So whatever it's created before, it can create something greater and new, as it's always doing through the evolutionary process. And then to slay, to just accept that this power is ready to kill it, baby, and be fabulous, because it is, and are you. Let's do it, and let's do it together. Thank you, and happy Mother's Day. And Yaron's going to come back on with an upbeat song to have us dancing ourselves into this new expression. So get up, shake your groove thing, and have some fun.
Here we go. Little Jamiroquai. Worship, but when my chest to get to heaven slipped, I used to worry about the future, but then I drew my caution to the wind. I had no reason to be carefree until I took a trip to the other side of town. You know, I heard the boogie rhythm. I had no choice but to get down, 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 dance. There's nothing left for me to do but dance. All this spare time I'm going to just dance. Got candy in my heels tonight, baby. Ooh, I feel the thunder, see the lightning. I know this anger is heaven sent, so I got out my hang-ups on my hang-ups. Listen to the boogie, I feel so well, bang, yeah, yeah. I got an instant gut reaction that I got. I know I never ever felt like this before. I don't know what to do, but then that's nothing new. Stuck between land and our water, that's a cue to make it through. Dance, all this bad time I'm going through, just dance. There's nothing left for me to do but dance. Got candy in my heels tonight, baby. Ooh, dance. Nothing left for me to do but dance. All this bad time I'm going through is just dance. Got candy in my heels tonight, baby. Ooh, dance. Dance, baby.
I had to get back in my chair. Because you got to get up and dance and let go of the past, right? Embrace the future. I love it. I love it. Jamiroquai and Yaron Spiwak. Thank you, Yaron. So fantastic.
Thank you.
Say what?
Fun to slay every once in a while.
It was a sleigh, baby. It was definitely a sleigh. So
All right.
thank you. I love it. In the hills of Austria. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for fabulous music today.
Thank you.
Really good. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Can't wait to see you in person soon. Hopefully. Yes. And so everyone, now is the opportunity to support our community financially and continue on this journey of our newness. And I'll put on the screen the way to do that, and know that we celebrate each and every one of you, celebrating your abundance and your prosperity and the divine itself doing its thing through you. That's the wrong slide. This is Well, I'm going to have to get that slide for you. So until I do that, know that this Wednesday morning we continue with our weekly mid-morning meditation, and I'm going to stop that for a second and know that that happens on 8:30 on Wednesday mornings. You can come together on Wednesday mornings with us through Zoom and do a 20-minute meditation. That's a fabulous way to kick off the mid part of your week, your hump day, if you will. And through that journey, we will be open to greater expressions of who and what we are as divine beings of the divinity. So here we go. I think I've got it. I don't know why I'm having challenges with that today. Well, I'm going to have Yaron come on and take us through our conscious giving song of Love is My Decision. Know the ways that you can do that is by going to our website, CSL-LA.org, click on donate, or you can go to the app in the App Store and do the same thing, or you can mail us a check if you would like. Our address is 1200 North La Brea Avenue, West Hollywood, California, 90038. And know that all that you give and all that you do to support us is honored and appreciated and acknowledged. And right now, I'm going to put this on the screen, and Yaron will take us through our song.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give up my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, source will show me how. Love is my decision, yeah, my decision, right here, right now.
Thank you, Yaron. And so let's know together that we are abundant, prosperous beings, that we open ourselves up to the good of the universe expressing itself in a new way, that as we surrender to life itself, good makes itself known by means of each one of us. We commit to being the vehicle by which spirit does its thing in a new way today, unencumbered, transforming from darkness into gold, and letting light be the guide as the divine principle moves itself through us. We celebrate the opportunity for good to be made manifest in a new way in our life today, and so it is. Thank you all for joining us today. A big thank you to Yaron for bringing great music, to Travis Smith for giving us great audio, for Robert Hensley for doing our social media for us and keeping us connected on Facebook and through YouTube. A big thank you to each one of you for being here today. You can find out about what's going on in our community through our website, csl-la.org, as well as the app in the App Store, Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. We also have social media that's always showing up throughout the week through our Instagram and our Facebook accounts, as well as our YouTube channel. Once again, there's a midweek morning meditation on Wednesday mornings. There's a new thought for the day text that goes out each morning at 7:30. All of that you can sign up for, as well as if you sign up for our weekly e-newsletter, that'll give you information on that as well. Next Sunday, we're back in person at our home at 1200 North La Brea Avenue. Please go online and find out more about that, and you can RSVP for that. We're looking forward to all of you being there. There are COVID restrictions. Everyone will need to be vaccinated and up to date on your vaccinations. And it'll be a really beautiful, fun time to come together and reconnect. That's next Sunday, May 15th. And then we're looking to connect for a date in June. We will have that date confirmed next week, and we'll do this 1 month at a time right now as we continue to grow and evolve and to express ourselves. And so may you all have a fantastic and joy-filled Mother's Day. Know that it's been fabulous to have you here. I know for each and every one of us that we embrace the journey of life itself, letting go of what was and opening to the new. May you give yourself the gift today of getting quiet and listening to Spirit do its thing through you, unencumbered, ready for a new expression. As we say goodbye to those that have joined us on Facebook, if you're here on Zoom, you can stay online and we'll have a brief hello to each one of you. And know that life is beautiful and you are indeed beautiful in it. Have a fabulous, fabulous day, a fabulous week, and happy Mother's Day. Thank you. Hi, Ted.
Hello.
Hi. Well, I was seeing you, and then you went dark, and then your microphone came on. Hello, Ted.
Hello.
Happy. Hi, Wendy.
Good morning.
Hi, Superna. There's Travis and Cheryl and Sandy and Ramses and Tom and Puppy. Puppies plural.
Hope you had a good vacation, Keith. Hi, Wendy.
It was nice. Thank you. Yes, I had a great time. Some sunshine and some lots of pool time and some loved ones and Miss Sweeney. She had a great time too. So it was good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Nice to see you again, Yaron.
You too.
Yeah, welcome back.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
on. Yeah, Ron.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Rams and Tom.
It's live.
Hi, Wendy. Hi, Wendy.
Yaron has a new job where he's spending half his time in Orlando.
Who does?
Wow.
Yaron.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have a question. Has anybody else had trouble going on PayPal? I can't get in. I can't donate.
me too. Me
My-
too.
It, I don't know if it's new, the whole thing, but it's not letting me donate.
Well, I'm gonna.
We just got donations from a couple of other people.
Well, something's changed and it won't let me press donate. So I don't know what's going.
Let me
Anyway,
s-
sorry.
I'll see if I can send it.
Try and contact them.
Check your payment setting.
Contact button.
Can
I'm
we-
sorry, what?
I said check your payment settings, Sandy, because sometimes if it updates, it might change your credit card or whatever card you put on there.
Oh, no, I just looked. It listed my credit card because I went into my account. But I went to press donate once and then I pressed on the zeros to put in how much and it won't go through. So I'll keep trying. That's okay.
How many zeros did you put in?
10.
Yeah, there you go.
I might mail you a check, Keith.
Okay. It took some donations from others, but
Okay. Well, if I have trouble, I'll just send a check in. But
well, I can also send you a QR code, I think.
Hi, Travis.
Do you know how to use a QR code?
I have it on my phone. I've not used it.
Okay. All right.
Click
here,
here
let's-
to donate. I'll figure it out. Okay, donate.
Okay. Okay. Everybody have a good, did you guys all have a good week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good week.
Terrific.
Good. Glad to hear it. And you're going to have a good week this week too.
Have a good one.
Yeah,
So,
we'll see you in 2 weeks. We're going to be away.
you guys have fun in Northern California.
Actually, Coeur d'Alene's up
We're
in
going to Idaho.
Idaho. Pray for-
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought they lived in Northern California.
Well, they did.
Oh,
In Burlingame, that's where I went to high school. But then they moved up to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
oh, I think I did know that. Yeah. So,
Yeah, but they're over it.
yeah,
So they're
got it.
thinking
So-
90 and 80 of moving back to Northern California.
Wow. And Wendy, you sold your car. I saw your post on Facebook.
Free. I don't drive anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Big one. I'm trying.
That's
to figure out-
that's a big step.
Yeah. But I feel good about it.
Good.
Good.
That's great. That's great for you. Great, great,
Everyone
great.
Have a beautiful day.
You
Lots of
too.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful week.
Everybody.
Love
See
you
you all on
guys.
Wednesday.
Bye.
You
Nice
too.
to see you all.
Bye. Thanks for a lovely service.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, Keith, I have one question
Yeah.
from when you were quoting about it's our desire to be comfortable that often keeps us in place regardless of our lack of happiness and our current state of being. Often comfort is a sense of being minimally challenged. Was that Dr. Lockhart or was
Yes.
it
It was Dr. Lockhart.
didn't Dr. Jim Walker say the same thing last week and you had quoted?
Yeah, I used
So
it again
everyone's
as I used it to
oh
balance to step off of for the rest. Yeah.
so then that bring like for me, like it's kind of a technical issue. Like sometimes when I channel and I download information for my book, like end up saying a lot of things that I see other people have said. And I think that's great, like synchronicity. But then at the same time, what about copyright issues? Like for me, I don't know
Well,
is
I
that
think
going
if
to
you're
be an issue?
publishing
Yeah.
it and you're quoting them, you need to direct quote them. So if you're giving a message like this, you like I did say it was coming from his blog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
So
did.
you just give a reference.
But sometimes when I channel, like some of the things that I say, I see other people say too. So
Hmm.
it's not like I'm quoting them, but like because it came to me too.
Well, I think the thing is, as long as you put your spin on it,
Okay.
then you should be
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, my spin's different. Like I'm applying that when I'm saying it is like I'm applying that to the debate about is domestic violence just an abusive behavioral pattern or is it a disease encompassing codependency and
Right.
gaslighting? So I'm putting that spin on it. And hearing the male perspective of going into the divine feminine today was a big learning opportunity for me because I
Great.
think yeah, because usually you see women talking about it and women going through that path. And now I have more perspective on how a man approaches it. So thank you.
Got it. You're welcome. You're
Yeah.
welcome. Fabulous. All right. Well, have a great day.
You too. See you next week.
Take care. Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.